New at 6, a judge has some big decisions to make in the case of a half-dozen men charged with conspiring to kill a witness against former Pharoah strip club owner Peter Gerace. As Channel 2's Dave McKinley reports, these are decisions which could impact whether the case goes to trial this summer, right, Dave?
That is right, Mary Alice. The judge is weighing whether to take the most unusual step of allowing defense lawyers to inspect the minutes from the proceedings of the grand jury which indicted the men, after another judge has already raised concerns regarding those proceedings and the conduct of prosecutors.
Lawyers defending the accused have argued that false evidence had been presented to the grand jury which indicted their clients, and indeed, after he reviewed the grand jury minutes, federal magistrate Jeremiah McCarthy raised several concerns over the way prosecutors presented their case, concluding, "I have grave doubts the grand jury acted independently of the government." McCarthy ordered not only for the grand jury minutes to be released to defense lawyers, but to the public as well. The ultimate ruling, though, rests with the presiding judge in the case, Elizabeth Wolford. She made no decision today, but had some pointed questions for prosecutors as to why she should not grant the defense motions, namely, if a judge looks at it and finds an egregious violation, if something improper happened, is a judge to have no recourse? That seems odd. Prosecutors, in fighting to keep the grand jury minutes secret, called McCarthy's findings ambiguous and argued such a motion shouldn't be granted unless a violation occurred that could result in a dismissal, and that despite concerns raised by McCarthy, it's not enough to dismiss the case before trial. There was no prosecutorial misconduct, insisted Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Trippi. But defense lawyers argued, how are they to know if they're not allowed to look at the grand jury minutes? Former Pharaoh's dancer Crystal Quinn was to be a star government witness against Gerace at his trial last year on drug and sex trafficking charges, but she turned up dead in a Wellsville apartment of a drug overdose. Gerace and the 5 other men were then accused of taking part in a conspiracy to administer a lethal dose of fentanyl to Quinn to keep her off the stand.
Quinn's testimony, Gerace was still convicted of drug and sex trafficking. He currently awaits sentencing. Judge Wolford also raised questions about the way the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Western New York presents its cases, suggesting that if they don't explain the elements of the charges to grand jurors, and there is some question if they did so here, the local office of the Justice Department would seem to be outliers as opposed to others across the country. On your side in the newsroom, Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.